Las Vegas, Nevada, June 2009. The Mandalay Bay Sportsbook buzzes with the electricity of Fight Week. In 3 days, Manny Pacquiao will face Miguel Cotto for the WBO welterweight championship. But right now, in this crowded casino surrounded by high rollers and fight fans, he's about to face a different kind of test. One that will either earn him the respect of boxing's most feared legend, or crush his confidence before the biggest fight of his career. Mike Tyson sits at the center of a semicircle of admirers, holding court like the dangerous king he once was. At 43, Iron Mike is retired, his terrifying prime a decade behind him. But his presence still commands respect, still makes grown men nervous. His voice carries across the sportsbook as he holds forth on the current state of heavyweight boxing, punctuating his opinions with that distinctive lisp and the casual menace that made him famous. Manny enters with Freddie Roach and a small entourage, trying to keep a low profile. He's here for a brief promotional appearance, shake some hands, build excitement for Saturday night. The last thing he wants is a confrontation with boxing's former apex predator. But Mike Tyson notices everything. "Look who we have here," Tyson announces, his voice cutting through the ambient casino noise. "The Filipino sensation, Manny Pacquiao." The crowd turns. Cameras appear from nowhere. What was supposed to be a quiet promotional stop just became a very public encounter. Manny approaches respectfully, extends his hand. "Mr. Tyson, it's an honor to meet you." Mike takes the hand, studies Manny with those dark eyes that once intimidated the heavyweight division. "The honor's mine, champion. I've been watching your fights. Impressive work for someone your size." The qualifier hangs in the air. "For someone your size. Thank you," Manny says simply. Mike gestures to an empty chair. "Sit, let me ask you something." Manny sits, acutely aware that every conversation in the sportsbook has stopped. People are straining to hear what Iron Mike Tyson has to say to the Pac-Man. "You're fighting Cotto Saturday," Mike says, bigger guy, strong puncher, been hurt but never stopped. "You worried about the size difference?" "Every fight has challenges," Manny replies diplomatically. "I prepare for what each opponent brings." Mike nods, then leans back in his chair. "You know what I miss about the old days, when heavyweights ruled boxing, when the heavyweight champion was the baddest man on the planet, not just the biggest." He's warming up to something. The crowd senses it. Today, everyone's excited about welterweights, lightweights, little guys dancing around throwing arm punches. Where's the violence? Where's the intimidation? Manny shifts slightly in his chair. "This isn't going where he hoped." "Don't get me wrong," Mike continues, his voice getting louder, more animated. "You're skilled, fast, technical, but small fighters bore me. They can't finish fights the way real fighters do. No killer instinct, no devastating power." The words hit like physical blows. "Small fighters bore me." In front of dozens of people, cameras recording, Mike Tyson just dismissed Manny's entire weight class as entertainment for people who don't understand real boxing. Freddie Roach tenses beside Manny, ready to intervene if necessary. But Manny remains calm. "Mr. Tyson, what makes a real fighter in your opinion?" Mike's eyes light up. This is his favorite subject. "Devastation. When I fought, people didn't just watch for skill. They watched to see someone get destroyed, completely obliterate. That's what boxing is about, imposing your will through violence." He stands up, begins pacing, getting more animated. "These smaller guys today, they win on points. They win decisions, but they don't break men's spirit. They don't leave opponents questioning whether they ever want to fight again." The crowd is eating it up. Classic Iron Mike, philosophizing about violence and domination. "Real fighters," he continues, "change people with their power. One punch, everything's different. The opponent, the crowd, the whole dynamic of the fight shifts because someone just got hurt badly." He looks directly at Manny. "Can you do that? Can you change a man with one punch?" The question hangs in the air, like smoke. Everyone understands what's happening. Mike Tyson, in his own way, just challenged Manny Pacquiao to prove that smaller fighters can be devastating too. Manny considers his response carefully. He could deflect, make a joke, change the subject. That would be smart, diplomatic, safe. Instead, he does something unexpected. "Mr. Tyson, would you like me to show you?" Mike's eyebrows raise. "Show me what?" "What real power looks like from a small fighter." The sportsbook goes completely silent. Even the slot machines seem quieter. Mike grins, that predatory smile that used to terrify heavyweight contenders. You want to demonstrate power? Here? Not here, Manny says calmly. But if you have time, come to my training session tomorrow. See what small fighter devastation looks like. Mike looks intrigued. Training session, top-ranked gym. 2 p.m. tomorrow. I'll be working heavy bags, showing combinations. You can judge for yourself whether small fighters can be devastating. Mike considers this. The crowd waits. You know what, he says finally. I'll be there. Show me what you got, little man. Word spreads quickly through boxing circles. Mike Tyson is going to watch Manny Pacquiao train. Iron Mike, the most destructive puncher in heavyweight history, coming to evaluate whether a welterweight can generate real power. The next day, the top-ranked gym fills with more people than usual. Reporters, photographers, other fighters, boxing executives. Everyone wants to witness this encounter between the sport's most feared former champion and its most beloved current star. Manny arrives early, begins his usual pre-training routine, but there's an edge to his preparation today. This isn't just another workout. This is about representing every smaller fighter who's ever been dismissed as not devastating enough. At exactly 2 p.m., Mike Tyson walks through the gym doors. The energy in the room shifts immediately. Even fighters accustomed to fame and pressure feel the presence of the man who once terrorized the heavyweight division. Mike surveys the gym, nods approvingly at the old-school equipment, the no-nonsense atmosphere. This is the kind of place where real fighters are made. All right, Manny, he says loudly enough for everyone to hear. Show me this devastation you're talking about. Manny approaches the heavy bag, a 150-pound leather monster that's absorbed thousands of punches from world-class fighters. He begins with light combinations, warming up, finding his rhythm. Mike watches with the analytical eye of someone who understands power generation at the highest level. He's seen every type of puncher, knows what real devastation looks like. As Manny increases his intensity, something changes. The sound of his punches becomes sharper, more explosive. The heavy bag, which usually absorbs punishment and swings gently, begins moving violently with each combination. Mike's expression shifts from casual interest to focused attention. Manny unleashes a left hook that makes a sound like a gunshot. The bag jumps sideways, the chains holding it strain audibly. The impact echoes through the gym. Jesus, someone whispers, but Manny isn't done. He steps back, resets, then explodes forward with a combination that defies physics. 4 punches in less than 2 seconds, each one landing with surgical precision and devastating force. The bag doesn't just swing, it convulses. The leather surface shows the imprint of Manny's glove. Dust shakes loose from the ceiling where the chain attachment points strain against the violence below. Mike Tyson, who once punched through heavy bags, who broke sparring partners' ribs with body shots, who redefined what devastating power looked like in boxing, stands transfixed. Holy shit, he says quietly. Manny continues for another 3 minutes, each combination more impressive than the last. He's not just hitting hard, he's hitting with the kind of precision that multiplies power, the kind of timing that creates maximum damage with minimum effort. When he finally stops, the gym is silent except for the heavy bag still swinging wildly from its chains. Mike approaches the bag, touches the surface where Manny's punches landed. The leather is warm, indented, marked by impacts that would have hurt heavyweights. How? He asks, simply. Manny towels off, breathing only slightly harder than when he started. Mr. Tyson, you said real fighters change people with their power. You're right, but power isn't just about size. He gestures toward the still swinging bag. It's about perfect technique, perfect timing, perfect leverage. When everything aligns, size becomes irrelevant. Mike nods slowly. I've never seen a welterweight hit like that. Most people haven't. They judge power by weight classes, by what they think should be possible. But boxing isn't about should be, it's about what is. Mike walks around the bag, studying the damage. Show me again. That left hook. Manny resets, throws the same punch, same explosive sound, same violent bag movement, same demonstration that devastation comes in many forms. That's not a welterweight punch, Mike says with something approaching awe. That's a fight-ending punch regardless of weight class. Exactly, Manny says. Power is power, devastation is devastation. The scale doesn't matter if the result is the same. Mike turns to address the crowd of onlookers, but his words are meant for Manny. I was wrong, he says simply. I thought small fighters couldn't be devastating because they couldn't generate the kind of power that changes fights instantly. But I was thinking about power all wrong. He points to the heavy bag. That's not small fighter power. That's fight-changing power, generated by someone who happens to fight at a smaller weight. There's a difference. Manny extends his gloves to bump. Mr. Tyson, you were the most devastating puncher of your era. At any weight. That's something to be proud of. Mike returns the glove bump, then does something unexpected. He removes his phone, takes a video of himself standing next to Manny. This is Mike Tyson, he says to the camera. I just watched Manny Pacquiao demonstrate why weight classes don't define devastation. This man hits harder than most heavyweights I've faced. Respect. He posts the video immediately. Within hours, it has millions of views. 3 days later, Manny faces Miguel Cotto at the MGM Grand. Mike Tyson is in the audience, front row, watching as Manny demonstrates in actual competition what he showed in the gym. In the 12th round, Manny drops Cotto with a left hook that Mike Tyson recognizes immediately. The same punch that destroyed the heavy bag, now ending a championship fight. As the referee counts and Cotto struggles to his feet, Mike stands and applauds. Not polite applause, but the kind of recognition one devastating puncher gives to another. In interviews for years afterward, Mike Tyson tells the story of watching Manny train, of having his assumptions about power and devastation completely overturned. I learned something that day, he always said. I learned that the most dangerous mistake you can make in boxing is underestimating someone based on their size. Manny Pacquiao hits harder than fighters twice his weight because he understands power in ways most people don't. When asked about his greatest regret in boxing, Mike sometimes mentions that encounter. I wish I'd fought in an era with more guys like Pacquiao, fighters who could devastate opponents regardless of weight class. That's the kind of competition that makes you better. For Manny, the encounter with Tyson became a defining moment in his career. Not because he needed Iron Mike's approval, but because he proved to himself and the world that devastation isn't about size, it's about perfection. The heavy bag from that training session was retired and given to Manny as a keepsake. It hangs in his home gym in the Philippines, a reminder of the day he turned boxing's most feared legend from skeptic to believer. Because sometimes the most important victories happen outside the ring, when you prove that greatness can't be measured on a scale. And sometimes the biggest compliment you can receive is when someone who redefined devastating power admits you've redefined it again. Mike Tyson came to the gym expecting to see a skilled welterweight. He left having witnessed something he'd never seen before. A smaller man who hit like a freight train and looked like pure violence in motion. The demonstration lasted 5 minutes. The respect lasted forever.